Attention, la ligne jaune n'est pas accessible aux personnes en fauteuil roulant. Nous montons.
That is your only indicator that you cannot use a wheelchair on this line.
After you've already paid and gone down to the platform.
When it opened in 1966, the Montreal Metro was groundbreaking. Deep stations, distinct architecture, and zippy rubber-tired trains set the system apart and still wow riders to this day. But there's one big problem. Less than half of this system is wheelchair accessible, and until 2007, none of it was. So how does Canada's second busiest metro function today? Why is it so hard to make it accessible? And why is Josh carrying a green bag? The only way to find out is to go for a ride. Montreal is the second largest city in Canada and the largest in the French-speaking province of Quebec. 4 metro lines, run by the transit agency STM, crisscross the city on 43 miles of track, all of which is underground, meaning trains are never exposed to the elements and aren't weatherproofed. Today, my friend Josh and I are exploring the system to look at its architecture and accessibility, and we're starting out at Edouard-Montpetit on the Blue Line, where we encounter one of the Metro's most unique features.
Swingy doors.
Yes.
What is the purpose of the swingy doors?
The purpose of the swingy doors is to try and keep most of the wind out, because the way that the system was built, it kind of creates a giant wind tunnel, because again, since it's all indoors, there's no real open areas, so it kind of creates a giant wind tunnel, and that's kind of the only way that you can get in and out of the system given the amount of wind that the system produces.
Since these butterfly doors are so heavy, some stations have motorized ones for riders with disabilities. Edouard-Montpetit Station opened in 1988. In March of 2026, it was retrofitted with platform elevators, becoming the 31st accessible station on the Metro out of 68 total. The first accessible Metro stations opened in 2007, more than 40 years after the Montreal Metro opened to the public. As of May 2026, the system is 45% accessible. We emerge onto the platform where a train of MR73 cars arrives, the oldest models currently operating on the system. These will take us from here to Park. STM's MR73s were delivered between 1976 and 1980, and their interior color schemes and fluorescent lights feel like a step back in time. Almost every station on the Montreal Metro has a unique look and feel, such as this one with bright red platforms, and Park, where we step off. And yes, Montreal's Metro has rubber-tire trains. They're built to handle quick accelerations, tight curves, and steep gradients, but are also rather loud. Up on the surface we find Canadian Pacific's old Park Station. Opened in 1931, it's now a Metro head house and retail center. Back down below, the accessible fare gate is easy to tap into, but you can't leave through it, as the exit mechanism is covered over with signage.
You might have noticed that the accessible gate there you can't really use. However, you're kind of supposed to use this to get out, but it's so bad.
This does not swing smoothly. It catches all the time. There's a little wheel here. It gets stuck on the bricks.
It's also worth noting that Park Station is not wheelchair accessible. Back on the platform, we jump on a westbound train. This will take us to the end of the Blue Line at Snowdon. On board, I noticed that one of the priority seats on this older train sits right on top of the emergency lever to open the doors, and can be yeeted out of the way to access the handle. It's an interesting design choice. There's also a dedicated wheelchair space on board, and the map behind it shows which stations have elevators. Soon we're off at Snowdon Station, which is built on 2 levels. On the upper level, you have outbound Orange Line trains and arriving Blue Line ones. Down on the bottom, you have inbound Orange Line trains and departing Blue Line ones. 4 murals, one behind each platform, depict the 4 seasons. A new MPM train streaks into the station. Delivered between 2015 and 2021, these train sets feature open gangways. Outside air circulates through ceiling vents, as there is no AC on board. More interesting stations pass by outside until we're stepping off at Lionel-Groulx. This station has a stacked design, allowing for easy transfers. One side has inbound Orange Line trains on the top and outbound Orange Line trains on the bottom, while the same pattern repeats on the other side for the Green Line. There's also a convenience store in the middle of the upper platform, complete with that most Canadian of snacks, ketchup chips. Descending to the lower platform, we catch a Green Line train that will take us down to de l'Église.
Ouverture des portes de l'autre côté.
De l'Église station has a stacked design layout. From the outbound platform, we head upstairs and arrive at the inbound platform. This station was meant to have 2 side platforms, but a cave-in from the surrounding rock forced this design choice instead. There's also creative signage here, as in many other stations, indicating where musicians can busk. Unfortunately, once again this station is not wheelchair accessible. Our next Green Line train will take us down to Monk. As we ride, we discover there's a massive wheelchair seating area at the end of the train. An LCD screen indicates which approaching stations have elevators, but unlike on the older trains, the system map does not show which stations are accessible. I feel like this design choice might be confusing for some riders who wish to plan ahead. We arrive at Monk. This station incorporates depth into its design, with giant sculptures that make it feel like a mine shaft. Truly a unique rapid transit station. The only problem? This deep station has no elevators. And as Josh and I explore, we notice an elderly man with a cane struggling down the stairs to catch a train. And, just like at Park, the accessible fare gate doesn't allow us to exit. Yet another train arrives, and we take it one stop down to Agrignon, the end of the Green Line. While not outdoors per se, this accessible station's award-winning architecture allows natural light down to the platforms. On the mezzanine, a small push button allows exit through the accessible fare gates. This surprises me. A lot of these fare gates are automatic elsewhere in North America, and small buttons like this are hard to press with certain motor disabilities, like the ones listed on screen. There's a reason accessible buttons are usually huge. Also, can we take another moment to appreciate just how cool this architecture is?
Fact check me in the comments. Do we have these in the US? Because I don't ever recall seeing them, and I've tried them before, they're really good.
Our next journey takes us all the way back through downtown to Berry-UQAM Station. Along the way, I noticed that there are foldy seats for priority seating in the middle of the new trains. We jump off at Berry-UQAM, and yes, that's not your imagination. There is a stained glass window in this subway station, a 1969 artwork commemorating the founding of Montreal. From here, we'll be riding Montreal's shortest metro line. In 1967, the city hosted the World's Fair on
Ile Sainte-Hélène,
and the brand new Yellow Line linked this with downtown Montreal and Longueuil. The Yellow Line's main entrance at Berry-UQAM Station still commemorates Expo 67 and its theme, Man and His World. If you made a 6-7 joke in the comments just now, consider joining the more than 67 people who support me on Patreon to make these videos possible. We head down to the Yellow Line platform, where 2 trains are parked at the far end of the tunnel. A train pulls in to drop off passengers, then reverses with an iconic sound. These 3 notes come from incrementally increasing power to the train's motors, creating the first 3 notes of Aaron Copland's Fanfare to the Common Man. Changing tracks, the now empty train pulls into our platform and we step on board, cruising under the St. Lawrence, stopping at Jean Drapeau, and finally arriving at Longueuil, where the train pulls out of the platform, reverses in the tunnel, and heads over to the opposite platform to pick up riders. Walking up some stairs to the relatively modern mezzanine, we emerge into a large enclosed bus station. Buses from all over the south shore of the St. Lawrence terminate here, allowing passengers to transfer onto the Yellow Line to go downtown. Or at least, passengers who can take the stairs. At this time, neither of the Yellow Line's end stations are wheelchair accessible. Although STM is working on putting in elevators to the Yellow Line platform at Berry-UQAM, which are a challenge to build, 92 feet below street level. There's also been a push to build elevators here at Longueuil too, which honestly makes a ton of sense. We board a returning train and ride it to Jean Drapeau, where we step off.
Push. There we go. Automatic swingy blast doors, and what the heck is this giant globe thing?
That is the Biosphere, which is one of our tourist attractions here in Montreal. It was initially the U.S. Pavilion during the 1967 World's Fair.
Here's the funny thing though. Right now, Jean Drapeau Station is wheelchair accessible, the only such stop on the Yellow Line. Let's see what that experience is like. The station has motorized butterfly doors. The button to open them is small, hard to press, and doesn't work.
Womp womp.
I can't find any signs in the head house telling me that this is the only accessible station. Only when we're on the platform level does the elevator say,
Attention, la ligne jaune n'est pas accessible aux personnes en fauteuil roulant. Nous montons.
That is your only indicator that you cannot use a wheelchair on this line.
After you've already paid and gone down to the platform.
Our final ride takes us back under the St. Lawrence and into Berry-UQAM, where we transfer to the Orange Line and ride at a few stops to Lucien-l'Allier. This station is weird. There's only one entrance all the way on the western side of the platform, and from here we climb a series of stairs and escalators, which take us 88 feet or 27 meters up to the surface. And if you're catching a commuter train at the nearby terminal, there's another couple flights of stairs and a walkway. This station has no elevators, and once again, the accessible fare gate is closed to exiting passengers. This seemed to be a pattern across the system when we filmed, but Josh and I have no idea why, even after Googling in both English and French.
No elevators, barely any escalators, a long walk, steep stairs. It's like everything. This is Caleb's worst nightmare.
The Montreal Metro is the fourth busiest metro system in North America, after Toronto, Mexico City, and of course New York. It's frequent, fast, and well connected, not to mention an architectural wonderland. Yet it's also a product of its time, with structurally impressive deep stations built before universal design was the norm. Now, STM is in a difficult position. Accessibility is a must. Advocates are clamoring for it. The Montreal Metro can move more people faster than a bus, while providing better flexibility than paratransit. Yet, there's a whole class of Montrealers who can't consistently use it. At the same time, structural accessibility projects are hard. Construction inside the subway stations we visited deep under Canada's second biggest city is challenging at best, and that's if the funds and political support are there. Making Montreal's metro accessible is a daunting task that may take a long time to accomplish, and I mostly have faith in STM to get it done. Mostly. But if I could call them out on one thing, it wouldn't be their lack of elevators, but rather their lack of communication. As you've seen throughout this video, I had to muddle my way through the Metro's accessible features to understand them, and my trip still left me with many questions with no clear answers online. It takes a long time to build an elevator shaft. It doesn't take nearly as long to hang a sign or fix a map. If STM wants to maintain goodwill among Montrealers as it chips away at system inaccessibility, better communication could go a long way. As for the green bag Josh has been carrying throughout this whole trip, well, it has a change of clothing for tonight.
Yo sigo cantando y sigo gozando.